What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to be talking about UFC 264, Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 3, the trilogy. All that and much more coming your way right now! All right, Nick, UFC 264 is upon us, and we are one day away from seeing the trilogy fight, Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. This is a fight that has been highly anticipated ever since their last bout, and we're talking about these guys' ultimate competitors. Dana White comes out earlier this week and talks about the winner of this fight is guaranteed a title shot after this, and the other guy, it's not looking too pretty for them. So there's a lot to this. We're going to break it all down. But Nick, why don't you get us started? Tell us what we should know about this fight and kind of where we stand with these two fighters.
First off, apologies to everybody listening. If you're on the East Coast, you know that this entire week has been an absolute nightmare with weather. So if you hear something in the background, that's just Mother Nature being at her worst right now. But as far as these fights go, as far as this fight goes, I fully expect it to be very similar to the first two we saw. They were very quick fights, and I fully expect to see one of these two men get the victory in the first two rounds. I believe these two know each other super well. They're going to attack the fight very similarly, where McGregor is going to be the aggressor early on. Poirier is going to try to weather the storm and try to figure himself out, collect himself, and then retaliate in the later rounds. But I believe with Conor McGregor having a fight in January, when was that fight?
January 23rd.
Wow, was it?
Yeah. At the Etihad Arena. Yes, Island. That was on Fight Island.
That fight wasn't in front of a crowd?
Yeah, on Fight Island.
Not a real crowd, though, not an arena.
No.
Wow.
No, nobody was there.
I forgot where I was left off.
You talked about Dustin weathering the storm.
Yeah.
Short fight.
But with Conor having a fight as recently as January and it now being in an arena in front of a sold-out crowd, this is exactly what Conor McGregor needs. He knocked the ring rust off in the first fight. He figured out after the second fight he needs to protect against calf kicks. He needs to protect against all kicks coming from Poirier. And overall, Conor McGregor just needs to stay composed. He can't go out there and just be his cocky self where he's better than everybody else, because he's been out of the ring for a very long time. He has not had as much experience in the octagon over the last few years as Dustin Poirier has. Dustin has elevated his game, and he's learned the different things that fighters have been utilizing to get wins over their opponents. That's why Dustin got the win in the first fight. He weathered the storm. He figured out Conor McGregor's not defending against these calf kicks. I'll work the calf until he can't stand anymore, back him up against the cage, and then get the finish that way. Conor McGregor, he's got to stay a little bit more composed. He can't rush Dustin Poirier out of the gate like he did the first time. He's got to figure out what Dustin's game plan is and throw Dustin off of his game plan, which is to just stay slow and steady throughout the entire fight. He's got to stay composed, keep his distance. He can take center of the ring. He can rush Dustin at times, but he just can't throw his entire wheelhouse at Dustin all at once and expect it to work out like it did in the past. Dustin is a much more experienced fighter. He knows what's going to be coming his way, and I believe Conor McGregor can get the job done. He just has to stay a little bit more composed, and he's got to learn from the mistakes that were made in the second fight. It's really going to take a lot for one of these fighters to be thrown off of their game plan. I think this is going to be a very exciting fight, but I definitely don't see it going the distance.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And, based on what we've seen with the last couple of fights, I would imagine so that neither one of these fighters want to go to the distance with one another. They're not letting a trilogy fight go to the judges that, have questionable calls at times. And, when you're talking about who would be better for ratings and stuff, Dustin Poirier sure as hell doesn't want judges having that in their mind as they make it a decision that Conor McGregor might be the better number one overall contender. But as we go forward, as we take a look at this fight, just breaking down the tail of the tape, Dustin the Diamond Poirier sits at 27-6 with one no contest. His last fight was a win against Conor McGregor. He stands at 5'9". He's got a 72-inch reach and a 40.5-inch leg reach. On the other side, Conor the Notorious McGregor comes in at 22-5 with his last fight being a loss to Dustin Poirier. He stands also at 5'9". His reach is 74 inches and his leg reach is 40 inches. So pretty even across the board. These guys stand relatively the same height, same reaches, same leg reaches. They know everything about each other. This is the third time these guys have studied tape. They have gone head to head, and there's not going to be anything in this matchup that they weren't looking for already. All the cards are on the table. This is all going to be who is the better fighter, who is the better mixed martial artist. And at this point in time, it's going to be one hell of a fight. It's going to be just an absolute bloodfest, in my opinion. When you're taking a look at these two fighters, they love to put on a show. Conor McGregor is all about the hype and everything that surrounds such big name promotions. And Dustin Poirier, he is looking for that title shot. He is looking to get his hands on that title, looking for his one opportunity to go face Charles Oliveira for that title. So we take a look at this and we take a look at everything that's happened in the first two fights. Who do you think comes out on top, and how do you think it happens? When do you think it happens?
Yeah, I think that when we look at these fighters, Dustin Poirier reminds me a lot of where Tony Ferguson was when he was the interim champion. I believe that Dustin Poirier has been at the top of the lightweight division for such a long time and just hasn't gotten a title shot since Khabib has relinquished the title. And being that high up in the rankings for such a long time without a title shot, it wears on you. After a while, you're going to start to degrade a little bit because you're getting older and there's better competition coming up. Even though he's facing Conor McGregor for a third time, they know each other so well. I believe that Dustin Poirier just has this stigma, this aura around him that just says, I've overstayed my welcome at the top of the division. And honestly, I just don't think that Dustin's going to be able to keep it up any longer than this fight. I believe that Conor McGregor is coming back. He is refreshed. He is knocked off the ring rust, as I said earlier, and he is ready to take control of this division once again. He's been the champion. He knows what it takes to be the champion, and I think that Conor McGregor is going to get the job done. I believe that he's going to learn from those calf kicks. He's going to learn different angles and different moves. Conor McGregor has always been one of the more unique fighters that figures out innovative ways of stopping fights. He's going to keep that up. He's going to bring something new that Dustin isn't prepared for. And I believe that Conor will get the job done early in the fight. I think it'll be before the championship rounds. I fully expect Conor McGregor to get a TKO in the second or third round.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. And you know what? I'm right there with you. I believe at the end of the day, what we're talking about is two prized fighters, two guys that really hone in on their craft, who really understand the sport of MMA at a molecular level that most of us will never even be able to comprehend. And now with these two fighters going against each other for the third straight time, now with these fighters going against each other for the third time, we're looking at just an absolute brawl. I mean, we are looking at these two guys leaving it all on the table. There's no fourth fight. This is it. This is the last time these guys will ever face off. And when I take a look at this, if I had to bet money on it, if I had to put my bank account on one of these guys, you just don't bet against Conor McGregor. We talked about in the last video when we covered these two that Conor McGregor was coming back from a hiatus. Essentially, he really hadn't had a whole lot of practice. He wasn't training. He had just kind of waltzed in and thought that he was going to pick up where he left off. Well, that wasn't the case, and he got his head rocked. I mean, Dustin Poirier wore him down with those calf kicks, and then all of a sudden he just couldn't move, and then Poirier capitalized on that fact. Now we take a look at this. Conor McGregor, he's not letting that happen again. And if I had to guess, he's going to end this fight early, like you mentioned, Nick. And I'm going to take a look here. I take a look at this fight, and I'm going to say I believe that it's going to happen in the second round. I don't think we're going to get to the bell of the second round before Conor McGregor is raised as the champion here. And with the, Conor McGregor is on a warpath for vengeance in this division. Conor McGregor is one of those guys that you just do not bet against, kind of like Tom Brady, if you will. And I believe at the end of the day, when you have to take a look at these two guys, Conor McGregor just screams out that he is going to be able to get it done and take it home. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's see what they have to say about this fight. Dustin Poirier comes into this fight with a minus 130 favorite, with Conor McGregor only at plus 110. So even DraftKings is saying that it's pretty even, not too much here to say that one is overly better than the other. And then on top of that, when we take a look at total rounds, this one is the most telling. Over 1.5 rounds is minus 220, but under 1.5 rounds is plus 170, meaning that at the end of the day, this could be under 1.5 rounds. It could be under 2 rounds. I mean, they're pretty much saying that this isn't going to the championship rounds. This is going to be one hell of a fight. And then one thing I like to do, I like to go over to the winning method and really take a look here. The number one winning method is actually by TKO, but when you get into each fighter, it's actually Dustin Poirier by TKO. They have him as a slight favorite, where Conor McGregor has a plus 200 TKO chance. So all of those numbers, all of those statistics saying that DraftKings Sportsbook doesn't really know who's going to win this fight. They're guessing that it's going to be Dustin Poirier. They believe that they have seen enough in the last fight and the first bout as well to say that Dustin Poirier is going to give Conor McGregor all that he can handle. Us personally, we believe that Conor McGregor is going to be the match that Dustin Poirier didn't want to see. So either way, I'm really excited for this fight, and UFC 264 is not going to let us down. I can guarantee you that. All right, well, that's going to be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.